Deputy Mick Wallace, who I understand may be sharing.
Maybe. Thanks, Lester Corla. I'd like to re-echo Richard's comments about the Taoiseach's attack on Corbyn's Labour Party and the notion of anti-Semitism. It is the height of inaccurate populism on the Taoiseach's part. Totally inaccurate. He could serve himself better. Your government's decision, and the EU's 23 of the governments of the EU, to actually recognise Guaido as the interim president of Venezuela, Minister, is shocking. It works roughshod over international law. There is no basis in international law for the position that our government took on Venezuela. Zero. Absolutely zero. In 2013, the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization included Venezuela in a group of 18 nations that had cut their number of hungry people by half in the preceding 12 years. We couldn't blame that. The FAO said that Venezuela reduced the number of people suffering from malnutrition from 13.5% of the population in 1990-92 to less than 5% by 2012. There's 19% of the children in Dublin at risk of poverty. Similarly, the UN's Economic and Social Council published a report in 2015, 2 years into the presidency of Maduro, that said the Council takes note with satisfaction of the progress made by the Venezuelan government in combating poverty and reducing inequality. But some people think that Venezuela was a better place when inequality was thriving and the income per head of population was going through the roof because of oil. But only a few people had it. And Maduro's and Chavez's crime is that they actually spent a fortune actually trying to reduce poverty. Do you know that they've built 2.5 million social housing units since 2015? 2.5 million? You know something? Maybe you should get them over here. Even Bernard would even agree with that, because we're refusing to build social housing units in this country. International pressure on Venezuela is not going to help the crisis of Venezuela. Venezuela has loads of problems. And is the place well run? No, it's not. No more than Ireland is not well run. France is not well run, as far as I'm concerned. You know what? If you interfere in Venezuela and if you support military intervention and economic sanctions by the US, which you are not raising a word about, you're saying you don't support military intervention, but US sanctions is intervention of just as vile as military intervention. The so-called humanitarian aid that was orchestrated on the Colombian border turned out to be a total sham. So that's failed now. So you know what the US are going to do now? They're going to do what they're taking part in Yemen. They're going to starve the population into submission. This government, minister, should be calling at the EU level for an end to US sanctions. You should be calling for mediation between the different parties out there. We're not saying that Maduro is brilliant, no more than we're not going to say that the present Taoiseach here is brilliant. And we actually think that the government and the opposition should be brought together. There should be a neutral entity from Europe involved, and there should be mediation. And stop what the US are doing, because it is totally in breach of international law. Listen, I don't have an awful lot of time. I just want to make the point on Iran. And our factories are stocked with beef. They're packed with it, and we can't sell it. Why will you not open the embassy in Iran? Every Western European country we're talking about has opened their embassy in Iran. We are saying, oh, we're not going there because of US sanctions, right? Do you know that the soybean sales from the US to Iran have increased under Trump? The soybean sales from the US to Iran have increased. Do you know why? Because they do what they like. Do you know that the US have sold umpteen Boeing jets to Iran in the last 4 years? You know why? Because there's money in it. And ye are cowering under them, and ye won't reopen your embassy. Cop on to yourselves. You should do the agricultural sector a favour by reopening your embassy. The Golan Heights. Oh God, how bad does it have to get? You have no problem dealing with Saudi Arabia, who have put 13 million at risk of starvation in Yemen. You have no problem with dealing with the US, who have created untold havoc all over the planet. You have no problem dealing with Israel. And now, oh, we're actually complaining about Israel annexing the Golden Heights. Wasn't it an awful pity at the UN vote last year that he actually abstained when that subject came up? Why do you do that? Why? Where's the logic of it? Where's the fucking insanity? What's the sanity of it? My last point. Your government minister is incredibly damaged at the moment because of your refusal to deal properly with the Children's Hospital. It is insane. You are refusing to save 400 or 500 million by revisiting the contract. Do you know why? Because it's politically expedient for you to ignore the problem and hope it goes away. You are seriously damaged by that project.